Okay, this hangout is now on air and live. Welcome to episode 5 of Star Trek Neutral Zone, a Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. This episode is titled Double Blind, and I'll start off with a quick recap of the previous episode. Captain Clegg, the commanding officer of the Klingon warship Geek Tal, made a diplomatic visit to Starbase 23. After an awkward dinner that involved plenty of gagh, Clegg made the stunning accusation that Admiral Chithanis was involved with the planning of a misinformation campaign to sow discord among several prominent Klingon houses. He produced holographic evidence of Chithanis discussing this plan with Admiral Alina Nechayev of Starfleet Command, and he demanded an explanation. You guys set about examining the holographic evidence offered by Clegg and found it to be a forgery, likely composed by the con man Grathon Tolar. Lieutenant Commander Holm presented this evidence to Clegg on the bridge of the Geek Tal, convincing Clegg to stand down. With the diplomatic crisis averted, Admiral Chithanis revealed to you that Starfleet does indeed have a contingency plan to sow discord among the Klingon houses, though the plan was never executed. This indicated to her that there's a leak somewhere in Starfleet, possibly on Starbase 23 itself. So just real quick, we're going to start out, the first scene will be on the ops of Starbase 23, kind of the nerve center of the Starbase. To kind of set the stage, it's a roughly circular room. There is a large table in the center of the room that offers a three-dimensional holographic display of the Starbase and the surrounding space. There's also, along the outer walls, there are circular readouts offering all sorts of sensor data and monitors that you guys would be paying attention to. So you're all in ops on Starbase 23, and this is kind of a special occasion because the USS Griffin, an Akira-class starship that has been docked at the Starbase for several weeks now, undergoing major sensor upgrades, is now ready to launch, and it will be starting its normal mission monitoring and patrolling the neutral zone. So why don't you guys, I'll start with Ben as Commander Stiles. You can introduce your characters and what you're doing on in ops as the USS Griffin prepares to get underway.
All right. Commander Stiles is kind of a gruff veteran of the Cardassian War, and he is I kind of think he's the Miles O'Brien in the sense that he kind of has to suffer. He just has gone through a lot of suffering, as many people in Starfleet have, and that's kind of led him to, look at things that are crazy as likely candidates for things. Clearly, there's a holographic something going on or a conspiracy. His biggest concern, or his biggest history issue, I guess you'd say, is during the conspiracy episode. He was one of the people who had the little parasite in him, and so he had worked, essentially for the parasite aliens for a while, and really, unfortunately, had obviously that created a falling out with his wife, who is a peace officer. So basically used and abused her knowledge, and until that episode is over and everyone's happy again, he had done some bad stuff. So that kind of ruined his civilian life, and so he returned to Starfleet, and that's how he came to be the commander on the station.
Awesome. I appreciate that in-depth backstory. That was awesome. We'll use that to draw on at some point in the campaign, I promise. Next up is Miguel, who's playing Lieutenant Commander Dietrich Holm. What's he up to in ops?
Well, he is just making sure everything is proceeding smoothly, and also watching actually that Akira-class ship finally leave the dock, especially because we have had a very important history with it, due to needing to use its computer data banks to help produce a cure when we had those children on board.
Yep, those children are both still on board, though Dr. Stanislov was able to come up with a unique therapy to cure them of the various viruses that were riddling their tissues. But you're right, the Griffin, you guys were able to kind of draw on its added computer power when you needed some in-depth data analytics. So we'll go next to Lieutenant Chisurch, played by Paul, our Andorian engineering officer.
Yeah, I'm playing Lieutenant Thelev Chisurch. I guess you can think of me as kind of like the sort of Andorian Chekhov. He's a very young Lieutenant JG, but a very bright engineer, and also a little abrasive from time to time, which is something he's constantly working on. So at times like this, he's either going to be down in the shuttle bays working on some of the shuttles there, or working on some of the other starships that might be docked. Or if he's in operations, he's going to be keeping an eye on the station systems, and particularly, again, on the shuttle bays and the docking bays. He has a particular interest in shuttles because his mentor from Starfleet Academy was killed in a shuttle accident. So he's very big on making sure that shuttlecraft and the like work as well as they should to prevent further accidents. So that's probably where he is, at one of the engineering consoles.
Yep, as he looks at the console, he sees that obviously there are dozens of support craft that work on a daily basis at Starbase 23. Right now, the Griffin is inside the Stardock area, inside those giant space doors. It looks like all of the support vessels are clear and out of the way, and the Griffin is basically clear to exit Stardock. So last but certainly not least, we have Yong, who is playing Dr. Melvin Stanislov, our Chief Medical Officer.
So Dr. Melvin Stanislov is an excellent and competent doctor, but he has a mediocre bedside manner, and he's terrible, absolutely terrible with children. And when it comes to sciences and medicine, he's pretty good, but when it comes to combat or any situations that he's any situation involving physical violence, so on and so forth, he gets overwhelmed. So, but he relies on his fellow teammates to carry him the day. Yeah.
Cool. So as the USS Griffin starts to slowly glide forward toward the open space doors, you get a message from the Griffin, from the bridge of the Griffin, to Commander Stiles, and it is Captain Temek, a Vulcan, and he says, requesting permission to exit Stardock, Commander Stiles.
And I hear that, or does it have to go through somebody else before it comes to me?
Comes straight to you.
Starbase operations, you are cleared to go. Launch at your command.
And after you say that, you hear kind of a gruff voice, maybe a little bit in the background, that Lieutenant Chisurch would recognize as the chief engineer of the Griffin. His name is Lieutenant Commander Bragg Barkmish, and he's a Tellarite, and he says, give Lieutenant Chisurch our compliments. The sensors are up and running beautifully, I might add.
I'll drop a quiet little, I don't know what you call it, a text message through to him, wishing him good luck.
Yep, you get an acknowledgement message back, and this sleek, rather powerful-looking Akira-class starship slowly glides through the space doors and out into space without any sort of problems or issues, and begins its long-term patrol of the Romulan Neutral Zone. But Lieutenant Chisurch, not too long after the starship leaves the space dock, you start to get an error message at your engineering readout, basically saying that there's something wrong with the space doors. They don't appear to be responding to commands. They seem to be stuck in the open position.
Okay, I'll get onto some of the engineering teams and get somebody to check it out, and I'll see if I can run some diagnostics from up here.
Yeah, why don't you give me? Go ahead.
I don't know if this would be. I don't know if this would be a good time for Paranoia to activate, shields and make sure that that nobody, I don't know, goes in the space door who we, don't want to.
It's not routine, but it's not likely to be anything drastic. I would just hold any traffic going through the space doors just in case something happens unexpectedly.
Well, I mean, we are on the Romulan Neutral Zone, so a cloaked ship in some kind of Tal Shiar messed up situation could be the cause. Maybe I'm just being paranoid here, but yellow alert's always good, right? Let's. I mean, we're not paying per hour of shielding, so let's put up the deflectors up.
Roger that, Commander. Back it on, and we are now on yellow alert.
Yeah, that seems like a prudent precaution. As Commander Stiles noted, you guys are very close to the Romulan Neutral Zone, and it doesn't require a task or anything like that. But Lieutenant Commander Holm is able to just press a few buttons, and suddenly the station goes to yellow alert. Not obviously in panic mode or anything like that, but some heightened precautions automatically snap into place. Lieutenant Search, why don't you give me, as you kind of run a diagnostic on these doors, give me a reason plus engineering task, difficulty 1, please.
Okay, so that's 15 overall. I'm not going to buy anything more. We'll just take a straight roll. So that's a 9 and a 10. So yeah.
Okay, so you generate a point of momentum, and you successfully diagnose the problem. It appears that there's some sort of interphasic interference within the door, the space door mechanism, that is kind of touching off a failsafe, and the doors just will not close because of this interphasic interference.
I'm sorry, interphasic interference? As in
yes,
subspace?
It could be. It seems to be. If you would like, you can spend that point of momentum you generated to get additional information.
I think that's probably a good idea. That seems a little unusual.
Yeah, it appears that there is some sort of object that is slightly out of phase with your space and time reality that is jamming the mechanism.
Can I get any details on the size of the object? Are we talking, size of a bread box, size of a shuttlecraft?
Somewhere between the two.
Okay. I'll report that to the commander. And I think we probably need to get an engineering team and a security team down there.
Well, that'll work. How far away is the Akira? Can they have a good first use of their new sensor equipment to get an external?
Sure. Yeah, as they are. I just so happen to have stats for the Griffin right here. Thank you, Paul.
Oh my, where did you get those from?
From a very ambitious player. Let me see here. Where'd that go?
Is that how LaForge ended up becoming a commander so quickly?
Nah, he went to the whale deck.
Hey, I'm eager to please.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Well, this will be difficulty 1, and we'll say it is sensors plus engineering. Okay. Yeah, so the Griffin responds back, yes, it appears we're picking up that exact same reading. We can confirm it. It looks to us like some sort of mechanical object that is sort of passing in and out of phase. It looks like it might be malfunctioning.
Okay, I'm concerned now that this is either some form of craft with some stealth technology, or potentially some sort of an explosive device.
Now, are we aware? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, because the Griffin has such updated sensor equipment, the science officer on the Griffin seems to, he hears that through the comm and says, negative, we don't think, we're not picking up an energy buildup that would correspond with any sort of explosive device. And we also don't think it's large enough to be at least a manned craft.
Commander, with your permission, I'm going to join the engineering and security teams down there. I want to get a close look at this thing.
All right, see what you can do.
On my way.
You think, Lieutenant Research, that you're probably this is going to require a spacewalk. That the device is sort of on the outside edge of the space doors, so you'll probably have to don EV suits and gravity boots.
Okay, I'll go myself, and I'll take a couple of security with me as well.
Like Lieutenant Commander Holm, do you want to go? Who wants to go on this? On this?
Always going to go on a jaunt.
Yeah.
I'll go find a couple of red shirts.
Okay. So as you guys get ready to do that, you travel to the space doors and start putting on this equipment. That leaves Commander Stiles and Dr. Stanislov in ops. And a few moments after the away team leaves, the doors swish open again, and a woman in the coveralls of a freighter captain steps onto ops. And immediately she draws some sort of double takes, but she is accustomed to going after what she wants. And she steps up to Commander Stiles, and you recognize her as Cassia, the Romulan woman who has. She's a former Tal Shiar scientist who sort of defected to the Federation and helped you guys to rescue those two children who were cloned and genetically manipulated to be diseased, to be viral carriers by a mad Romulan scientist. And she sort of storms onto the bridge, and she demands to talk to Commander Stiles. I really need to talk with you. And she catches Dr. Stanislav's eye as well, and she says, Doctor, you might want to be part of this conversation as well.
Well, Mr. Holm, I guess you have ops.
Huh?
Get that right.
Understood.
Yeah, please, let's go to my office.
And she immediately, she knows exactly where that is. You've met her there before. She kind of strides confidently and purposefully directly into your office, ahead of you.
What seems to be the problem?
Commander, Doctor, it's come to my attention. First of all, Dr. Stanislav, I have to convey my gratitude to you for finding an ingenious way to cure the two children, the two Marins, of the viruses that they were carrying. It sounds to me like it was a truly innovative approach that you used to save them.
Well, without the assistance of my crew members, I don't think it would have been possible, but, well, things turned out well.
Now I have to ask the both of you what the Federation intends to do with them.
Well, the Federation Council is making its own determinations at this point. They have not given me a lot of specifics at this time. Unless I have, and I just haven't learned from the Gamemaster, sorry.
Commander, what do you think should be done with them?
Well, the Federation is vast. We have many worlds that are not that are quite nice places, and my guess would be there'd be some kind of medical colony or something like that that might be a good place for them to make sure their biological significance does not throughout their lifetime. But I am not a part of the Federation Council, so that's just my opinion.
Well, Commander, if I may, the children, they're free of disease at this point, so they're just regular children. So if Captain Casey is willing to take them, shouldn't we just let her take care of the children?
Well, like I said, I think that's
deserve to have a childhood.
Agreed. Is that what you're requesting? Have you made I'm sorry, did you make a formal request of the Federation Council on this matter?
I have not made a formal request. I was hoping that if I could get your recommendation, that might carry some weight.
Well, you'll have it.
Thank you, Commander.
I'll be happy to write a report saying that these children are completely free of any pathogens.
That's good. Now, didn't they have some genetic augmentation as well?
Well, their physiology is slightly different because they are clones, but as far as we're concerned, these children pose no threat to any of us. So it's really up to you. I'll be very happy to write a report saying that they're completely harmless, regular children.
That works for me. Again, I don't know. I think this is still going to be in the hands of at least, the Admiral, if not the Federation Council. But that's what I'll recommend as well. And I don't know, Cassia, if how many total individuals are we talking about here?
There were only the two that I worked with. And we were able to rescue both of them, and they are basically awaiting the Federation's decision about their future. And I gave up everything that I had in the Romulan Empire to save them, and I feel that it's very important that I be allowed to continue to be a guardian for them.
You have my full confidence.
Well, thank you, Commander. Thank you, Doctor. I'm sure with your recommendations, that will surely carry some weight with the Federation Council.
Well, sooner they're out of my med bay, I'll be happy. By the way, their names, well, it's very odd for me to refer to them as Marin and Marin. Have you thought about naming one of them differently? Maybe, I was thinking maybe one could remain Marin and the other one could be Myron. What do you think, Captain?
I do not have children of my own. I don't know if it would be appropriate for me to name them.
Well, I was asking Captain Casey, actually.
Oh, Cassia.
Well, I hadn't really given it much thought. In fact, we've just gone from one crisis to another that I haven't really had much of a chance to really think about their names. I would be inclined to leave it up to the children.
Well, while they're staying there, whenever I said Marin, both of them would answer at the same time. So I started calling one of them Myron, and the result has been quite positive. So I was wondering if we could stay that way.
Were you referring to the male or the female as Myron?
The male as the Myron, and the girl, I kept on calling her Marin, and she was happy with that.
And they didn't object?
I said, all right, kids, listen to what I say. You're going to be Myron from now on, and you're going to be Marin as always. And they said yes. So I think it's working out quite well.
Doctor, you said the sooner you can get those children out of your sick bay, the better. I'm inclined to agree with you.
Yes, excellent.
Now, Cassia, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what your next plans are. I'd really like to make sure that there are some humans where you're going, so that these individuals do have some of their own kind. Maybe people who are, skilled in medicine and psychology and so forth, to make sure that they have a good life. What is your next move?
Well, yes, of course. I've been I've been filling out all the paperwork necessary to run a regular freighter run along the Federation side of the neutral zone. I was thinking maybe we could get a home on a temperate Class M world somewhere along that route. And I would do everything I could to give them a home and an education and as normal a childhood as possible, considering what they've been through. Well,
I know we'll have, you can probably talk to our chief navigator about certain planets, and you know, if there's probably several along the neutral zone that could be paradisical.
Do either of you have any recommendations for a world where we might settle?
Well, I wouldn't think you'd want to stay too close to the Romulan part of the neutral zone. Since we are allies with the Klingons, there is Organia, of course. Very peaceful lot there.
Commander, this idea just occurred to me. Really, Starbase 23 has been as much of a home as anywhere these children have been. What if we made the Starbase our kind of base of operations, at least for the time being?
Well, that is where they're going to stay until we get any additional direction from the Admiral or from the Council. I don't. If you want me to suggest a more permanent placement here, I don't know if I can do that. I think they will. Unfortunately, of course, anybody in the Federation Council will probably have a healthy amount of paranoia regarding having somebody in the Tal Shiar here on the base. And though I think that you are commendable and, you know, beyond reproach, I doubt my singular recommendation will sound anything except like somebody who's not involved in the Federation, the Federation espionage corps.
Of course. Well, anything you can do, Commander. I really appreciate it. You've both been very reasonable, and you have my gratitude.
Now, why did you come up? Why is there a reason why you came up just at this particular moment? Where you know, we're just launching a craft out there. So I had actually thought, with the way that you came in, kind of suddenly, that there was some, you know, immediate issue. Is there an immediate something that we need to take care of?
No, my immediate concern is the safety of these children. And if you have other matters to attend to, then I won't keep you any longer.
Well, Captain Casey, I think that was an excellent suggestion that they stay on the Starbase. I mean, as long as they stay out of my sick bay, I'll be very happy to see these little buggers running around the Starbase.
Well, that would, of course, be the idea. We would want as few visits to sick bay as necessary.
Yes.
Once again, thank you for your time, both of you. And we will cut to just as you guys, Lieutenant Commander Holm and Lieutenant Chassearch, you guys have put on your EV suits, and you stepped through this, what am I thinking? The what's like the room between the inside and the outside?
Yeah.
Airlock? Airlock, there we go, perfect. You've stepped through the airlock doors. There's a hiss as your gravity boots stick to the metal plating of the outer hull of the Starbase. And as you look around, I mean, there's space above you and this this mammoth Starbase below you as you step onto the hull of the Starbase and start walking toward the space doors, which remain stuck open. What's going through your minds?
This is awesome. Reason being, come on, you're outside in space. You got the stars all above you in your head. You're walking on the outside of the ship. This is basically like a fun jaunt. People in the 20th century would pay big bucks for this.
I'm just wondering whether I brought the engineering tricorder or not. I'm hoping I did.
Did you remember to go to the bathroom?
Ah, darn, I was in a rush.
Uh-huh. Oh, then, well, it's yellow alert. We can't.
We'll have to wait until brown alert until.
No, they got that out in the academy. You'll be amazed at how long a Starfleet officer can hold it in. Kind of like a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, so Lieutenant Chassearch, you feel a momentary spike of panic, but you do realize that you did bring your engineering kit with you and your tricorder and all the tools you think you're going to need.
Good. Okay, now
So
I can enjoy the view.
Yeah, what do you guys do as you approach these doors?
So I'll be using the tricorder to try and pinpoint where this interphasic interference is, and very cautiously approach, see if I can pick up any readings closer up.
Yeah, you bet. Give me reason plus, it can be science or engineering, and it'll be difficulty 1.
Science or engineering? I'll go for the engineering. That's a little bit higher. So that's 15, and we'll get a 2 and a 7. So that's that's a critical. So that's an extra.
Oh, awesome.
So 3 successes total.
Okay, so you generate 2 points of momentum. Would you like to spend 1 to improve the quality of your scan?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you already knew where this device was located because of the scans that the Griffin was able to perform and that you were able to perform in ops. And so as you approach this location, you also pick up these sort of interphasic fluctuations. You think that this is some kind of mechanical device that's been equipped with a phase inverter, that it's been hidden intentionally in the sort of the very outer lip of these space doors.
Can I determine at all what the purpose of the device is? Is it to keep the doors open, or is there some other purpose?
You think that as you were able to perform a very thorough scan, you think that it has what looks to be some kind of monitoring equipment and some data storage and some kind of transponder, which would lead you to believe that these components are probably some sort of surveillance device that probably tracks traffic in and around the Starbase.
Wow. I will report that back to Ops. And I'm guessing that it's in some way that this device has malfunctioned. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't know that it's here.
If it was working, we wouldn't know it's here. But it's damn chillier. Lieutenant, are you able to determine how long this thing has been here?
I can try.
Yeah, you don't think because it's sort of coming in and out of phase. It's really difficult to determine, a time frame for when it was installed. Maybe if you were able to completely bring it out of this interphasic state and bring it completely into phase with your reality, that might be able to you'd be able to interact with it more.
Okay, well, the chances are whoever put it here knows that we found it by now. So we're not going to gain anything really by being cautious. Okay.
And I should also add, this is probably important, you're scanning it, you know it's there, you're picking up the sort of interphasic readings. You can't see it with your naked eye.
No, I get that, yeah. I'm just thinking if it is some sort of monitoring device, then the chances are it's been listening in on our talk. So whoever put it there probably knows that we're talking about it. And may also know that it's malfunctioned. So the chances are pretty high they know we found it.
Yep, Lieutenant. The question is, we need to know what has been compromised.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can figure out how to get this into our space. Is there any sort of interference field that I can put up, or any sort of energy pulse that I can probably send through it that might interfere with the phasing?
Yeah, so this is going to require either, well, you've only got 1 point of momentum, so it'll require a difficulty 2 task, and you can sort of narrate exactly what it is you're doing to disable the kind of the interphasic properties, to cancel out the interphasic properties of this device.
Okay, I'm going to assist this here.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, basically, I'm thinking of, since I have experiences with focus espionage, would insight and security be good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll use the tricorder to run an analysis of the phasing of this device.
Success. 12.
And then I'll see if I can generate some sort of energy pulse from the tricorder that might be able to break the phasing.
Yep. Absolutely. That'll be that sounds awesome. And that is a difficulty 2 task. It looks like Lieutenant Commander Holm, you're able to assist with 1 success. So Lieutenant Research, you need at least 1 more.
Okay. I'll use one of my talents for this. I'll do this cautiously. So I will buy an extra die 20 with the momentum that we have.
Okay, cool.
That'll give me 3 die 20, and it does mean that if I need to, I can re-roll one of those dice. And we'll go for, what are we thinking, reason and engineering again?
That makes sense to me.
Okay. So that's 3 successes.
Okay, so a total of 4. So you generate 2 points of momentum, and you are able to generate an anion pulse that cancels out sort of the chronoton emissions that are causing the interphasic properties of this device. So when you do that, the device suddenly becomes visible, and it's now completely present in your reality. And it looks like, you know, it's not all that big. It looks like you could probably even pick it up, you know, with 2 hands. And it looks like sort of a cylindrical mechanical device with all sorts of electronic sensors and you know, kind of lights swirling around it. I'm going to spend 2 points of threat as you dispel the chronotons around this device. They actually dissipate and swirl about around first Lieutenant Research, and then I'm going to spend 2 more points of threat for a total of 4. The chronotons then swirl around Lieutenant Commander Holm, and you guys kind of feel strange for a moment. There's kind of a bright flash of light, but then when you come to your senses, you're standing there on the outside of the starbase, but you realize as you look down, you can't see your hands, you can't see your feet, you can't see yourselves.
Oh, I knew 4 threat was going to be bad. Okay, we'll go for the tactile senses. Can I actually feel myself? Even if I can't see my hands, can I feel?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I am going to go and flip on the suit's sensors. Does it say there's every vital life signs are working? All of that?
Yep. So I mean, you can't see anything. You can't see the sensors. But you feel fine. You feel exactly how you felt before. Your feet are solid on the hull of the starbase. It's just that you can't. It's really disorienting. You can't see yourself.
So the chances are we're now out of phase.
That'd probably be a logical conclusion.
Yeah.
I'll double check with one of the security guys that's out here with us. As in, I'll go up to them and kind of wave my hands in front of their face.
Oh yeah, the security guys are freaking out. Like they're looking around. They can't find you. They're getting on the comm and talking back to the bridge.
Can we get in contact with them with our comm?
You can. It's going to require a task, and it's going to be kind of difficult.
Well, this is important. So,
yep, 2 points of momentum. It's going to be a difficulty 3 task to sort of overcome the sort of the chronoton particles that are swirling around you to sort of get back into contact with your reality.
Sounds like it's your job, and I'll assist. Lieutenant?
We'll give it a try. It's going to be difficult. I'm wearing big, thick spacesuit gloves, and I can't see my hands.
Yes. So, I think this will be, I'm assisting him, so this will be a science. With what would be the appropriate attribute? Reason?
I would think so.
Yep.
If you wanted to use daring, you could, because you're now in sort of a crisis situation. I imagine you're maybe panic is starting to set in at least a little bit, even though you guys are trained Starfleet officers.
I'm going to try and reason my way through.
Before you guys roll, one of those security officers who's standing back at a distance, he hits his. Oh, I'm so happy to see that.
Yeah.
Miguel. One of the junior officers, the security officers, taps his comm badge and sort of says, and definitely panic is setting into his voice, "Ops, come in. We're out here next to the space door, set 1. Two of our guys just disappeared. I don't know. I don't know where they went. I don't know. It's not like their gravity boots malfunctioned and they drifted away. They just literally disappeared before my eyes. What should I be doing, Commander Stiles?"
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, they were here for a moment. They were scanning whatever this thing is in the space doors, and then there's a flash of light, and they disappeared. I don't know where they are.
You don't know where they are? Well,
I don't know where they are.
What were they doing when they disappeared?
They were trying to cancel out the interphasic interference that was keeping us from operating on this device. The device is here. I can see the device now. It looks like I could even interact with it. But Lieutenant Chisearch and Lieutenant Commander Holm, they're gone. I'm telling you, they're gone.
Are you detecting any sort of energy in the area? Were they disintegrated? Were they...
Negative. I'm not. He sort of consults his tricorder. There's no weapons fire that I detected. They're just gone. There was a burst of chronotons, and they were gone.
Well, we need to find them quickly. Is the what's the Akira class name again?
The Griffin. They've kind of warped off. They're off on their mission.
Well, usually we use probes to go really, really deep into space, but I think it might be a good idea to send a probe in there next. And if you guys could move back away from the device, make sure whatever happened to them doesn't happen to you. I think we'll send a probe in to try to see if there's anything we can detect to indicate what happened.
Oh, okay, yeah, absolutely, sir. We'll back away, and they do. The security officers start to give some distance to the space doors. Dr. Stanislov, what do you know about how interphasic interference might interact with life forms?
He has no clue because I don't know.
You fell
All
asleep.
right, how's he responding to this? Is he standing at ops monitoring the comm traffic?
He approaches the commander and says, Commander, from what I know, an object cannot disappear simply without some energy burst. I mean, if there was an annihilation, then we need to see some equal explosion of energy. But if that didn't happen, then I'm afraid we may have better luck scanning the subspace and the source of this chronoton burst. Because whatever that was, whenever they disappeared, the fellow was saying that the explosion or the emission of chronotons coincides with the disappearance. So if we could determine exact nature of the source of this burst, then we may find a clue. What do you think, Commander?
I think that's a great idea. We have to figure out what these chronoton particles did. Now, I'm not an expert on it, but I know that the chronoton particles are good. They're used in cloaking devices. They're used in interphasic devices, and they are used in time travel. So I don't know. Maybe it's possible they're in another time. So I don't know exactly how we determine that, but. If you would like to prepare,
we could scan for tachyon traces as well. If you believe that there was some sort of a time travel involved. But what you say about cloaking devices, I wonder if that has something to do with it. I wonder if these two of our esteemed colleagues have been cloaked. So I think we ought to do a subspace scan, sir.
Agreed.
Okay, yeah. Why don't so we'll do this as sort of as the guys out on the outside of the starbase are sort of working to cut through the chronoton interference, and the bridge is doing the same thing. We'll do kind of a combined task. How about that?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. So first of all, let's start with the guys out on outside the ship in the EV suits. What are you doing to try to get back in touch with your crew?
I'm going to see if I can link the communicator through to the tricorder and intentionally knock the signal out of phase.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think I messed up on that. So kind of hard when you can't see your hands or the objects.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult.
So it's going to be a difficulty
blindfolded, but I can't do this.
It's going to be a difficulty 3 task. Either you guys need to complete it, and Lieutenant Commander Holm rolled complication, or the guys in ops need to complete it. And you can both try it.
Okay, let's give it a shot then.
Actually, I'll tell you what. It's difficulty 3 for you guys outside because you guys suffered a complication, making it 1 step more difficult. It'll be a difficulty 2 task for the guys on ops.
Okay. Do we have any momentum?
Yes, you got 2 points of momentum.
Okay, I'll grab one of those for an extra dice.
You bet.
And we will go 8, a 1, and an 18. So that is 3 successes.
Okay, awesome.
And
so you're able, yeah, go ahead and narrate for me how you're able to sort of cut through these swirling chronotons and sort of figure out a way to get a message through to ops.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to do is use the data that I recorded on my tricorder earlier about the phasing field around this device, link it up to my communicator, and then try and knock that signal intentionally out of phase using the data that I recorded earlier. So I'm trying to sort of bring the communicator signal from our phase back into normal reality using the data from the tricorder.
Yeah, that's perfect. So we'll cut back to ops as Dr. Stanislov and Commander Stiles are frantically scanning the hull of the starbase for signs of the missing crewmen. And at first you're just getting nothing but static as you're sort of scanning through various subspace bands. But then you sort of pick up just the faintest little frequency, the faintest little voice that you recognize as Lieutenant Chisearch. And what does Lieutenant Chisearch say as his voice sort of comes through the static?
I'll identify myself and say, look, we're okay, we're here. There's been an accident. We're slightly out of phase at the moment. We think we've knocked the device back into phase, but we've knocked ourselves out of phase. So we are still here. We are, for the moment, alive and okay. We're just not quite sure how to come back.
Is there any way we can tell? We can tell at what phase level they're at to respond to them?
Yeah, you feel like now that you've sort of been able to scan through the static and you're picking up his voice, you think you could probably answer him.
Commander, I think I just heard Lieutenant Chisearch.
Yes. Yes, let's see if we can send them back a message. And I'll send a message that indicates that we're searching for them, and we need to know what their exact level of phase is, and how to and what method they use to bring the device into our reality. How to use something similar to bring them back.
Lieutenant Chisearch, how would we be able to attune your phase?
I'll send them the data that I recorded from the tricorder and let them know that I used an anion pulse to knock the device back into phase. Now, it's difficult, and it's something that I can't do from here because I can't see my hands and I can't see the tricorder. So you guys are going to have to do it from there.
Well, you have to help us. You have to walk us through this. because I'm not exactly sure. I think we might have to amplify the signal here, but you know me.
I'll send them the phase data from the tricorder.
Okay, so what do I roll here?
Yeah, so now that you guys have the data from Lieutenant Research, it's going to be a difficulty 2 task. One of you can lead the task, and one of you can assist. I'm talking to Dr. Stanislov and Commander Stiles.
Can I just Doc? Is it you that's going to be doing this? Because you're the best doctor I know of, but engineering, not necessarily. I'm just saying, you know. little concern here.
he turns over to the commander and says, "Commander, I think Lieutenant Research is absolutely right about this."
Yes, but we still need your help. Stay on that council. We want to make sure what we're doing here doesn't hurt them. So we need you to make sure that they're the life signs that are coming through. In fact, can you detect their life signs now that we know what phase they're on? Because we don't want to shoot them with a bunch of energy to bring them back and have them come back, unfortunately, no longer themselves in a splattered sort of way.
Well, I mean, regarding that, would we be able to just pull them through using teleporter?
Who's our transporter chief? I need a specialist.
I will if they come back in any strange injured form. I shall be there to assist. But let's determine their phase, and if we could teleport them back in, that'll be perfect.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense that you could use the transporter to sort of cancel out the chronoton effects, because you know where they're located. To do so, it's going to be a difficulty 2 task. It's going to be control, because this requires kind of fine motor skills to get the exact coordinates correct and the timing correct, plus either science or engineering. And one of you can, you've got 1 point of momentum, one of you can lead the task, and one of you can assist. And the person who assists doesn't necessarily have to make the same roll. If you want to use, maybe like presence or command or something like that as kind of like moral support or something, that's fine with me as well.
Yeah, I mean, for the 2 PCs, I would think that we'd want the doctor to try to continue to detect those biosigns and of course be there if things go wrong. And do we have a transporter pad here in Ops like they had in Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, absolutely you do.
Do we want to? Is there any danger to the ship by doing so? Do we need to use a different transporter?
You don't think so? You don't think there'd be any advantage or disadvantage for using a different transporter pad?
We want to save the producers some money and not have to have another transporter scene. Yeah. Okay, that works.
That's expensive, dude.
All right. Well, I got mad command skills, so I have a control of 11 and a science of 2. So that gives me a 13. I think we want to use the momentum.
Okay.
So does that give me 3 dice?
Yep. You got 3 d20s, and Yong, you can roll 1.
And then.
And you'll need 2 successes from the 2 of you.
Well, I got control of 10 and science of 4. I don't know if that's going to help.
Yep. So yeah, your target would be 14.
Okay. So 3 d20s, right?
If you're leading the task, yes, you'll roll 3 d20s. The other one will just roll 1 d20.
Yeah. So who do we want to have lead the task? I guess you have a 14. Maybe that's higher. But I don't know.
Well, Commander, let's give it a shot. So Doctor actually walks up to the console and tries to do his best. 8, 11, and 12.
Oh, I thought you said I thought that smile was 420.
I did too. So not only do you coolly transport your missing crew members directly onto the pad, they're visible, but you do it with ease. You generate a point of momentum. So
Awesome.
both Lieutenant Chisurch and Lieutenant Commander Holm, you feel the transporter effect shimmer around you, and you rematerialize on the transporter pad in ops, and you realize you can see yourselves physically again.
I've got hands.
Okay, good.
I think this deserves a hug, Doc.
Well, now we can write down and record that I have brought a man from non-existence back to reality. That's quite a miracle, right, Lieutenant?
It's pretty impressive.
Well, it's
Quite
good to have
so.
you back.
You seem to be making a career out of saving me.
That's why I'm here, sir.
Well, that's the job. All right, well, do a complete scan and make sure these guys are all intact, and then you can clear them for duty.
Okay, so the doc pulls out his tricorder and makes sure that they're in all good ship shape. And,
Yep. Doc, it doesn't require a task or anything, but you feel pretty confident that they didn't really suffer any permanent ill effects from their brief encounter with this interphasic effect.
It seems like they're all righty, sir.
Well, that was a very quick once-over.
Well, their legs and arms are all attached, and they're two separate people. So I think we could say that they're all right.
Well,
A little medical joke, sir. Yeah.
well, even still, if you wouldn't mind taking them to sick bay and intensifying all scans, I just want to make sure that there's not going to be any additional issues.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, Lieutenant Commander, should we head down to the sick bay?
Yeah, so we cut to...
Okay, we cut to sick bay then.
Yeah, and Dr. Stanislov, you're free to run any more in-depth scans that you like. As Lieutenant Chisurch steps through the double doors into sickbay, he's immediately greeted by Marin and Myron, who run up to him and are, of course, excited to see him. Because he is at least for Marin, he was the one who rescued him from a freighter that was about to suffer a warp core breach.
I did. I'm still not that easy around children, but yeah, I'll give him a good hug and whatever.
Oh, Lieutenant, by the way, I named the boy Myron. You know how they used to answer at the same time when you call them Marin? Well, I have a solution for that. This one is Marin, and the other one is Myron.
Seems reasonable.
Doctor, why did you do this?
Well, I thought just having individual name was pretty nice because it'll be sort of difficult to distinguish them, right? Same place of dwelling, about the same age.
The doctor a very long stare at that.
And then the doctor pulls out the booze and says, "Well, it was one hell of a ride."
Oh, did we just lose Yong?
The Chronotons got to him.
Oh, no.
He pulled out the booze.
And he winks out of existence, replaced by Q. Oh, here he comes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yong, we lost you for a second. What happened after you pulled out the booze?
So he says it was one hell of a ride, and it seems like you're in good shape, so might as well take a sip, right? And then he offers the shots for the doctor and for the lieutenant and the lieutenant commander.
Well, I guess technically we're not on duty at the moment.
Doctor. Even though I'm a patient, I'm a stickler for protocols.
Well, suit yourself then. He takes that shot and downs it himself and says, that was a good one."
Well, I'm going to take a shot as well because... Oh! I have a dog barking.
Yeah, so with those pleasantries exchanged, the doctor still feels reasonably confident, more than reasonably confident that Lieutenant Chasearch and Lieutenant Commander Holm suffered no serious lasting health concerns because of their trip onto the hull of the Starbase.
Sorry about that. I was going to say I'm going to take a shot because until the doctor clears me, I'm not on duty, and this can be considered medicinal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was before Dr. Stanislov came to his conclusion.
Yeah, he asks him, if you want another, I can offer you another shot before I clear you.
Let's not overdo it, eh, Doc?
Well, you got it. It's good to have you back.
What exactly does Dr. Stanislov keep in his medicine cabinet and sickbay for these occasions?
Well, he has whiskey, Chivas Regal from long ago.
Yeah, something about doctors and Tennessee whiskey, I think. At least in the Star Trek universe. Okay, so we'll end the scene there. You guys have uncovered this strange surveillance device near one of the space doors of the Starbase. You guys have managed to discover it without any serious problems, any serious health effects to either one of you. But now you have to decide how you're going to proceed now that you know that someone has been monitoring the traffic in and out of Starbase 23.
Well,
is the device still outside at the moment? We haven't brought it in.
Correct.
I think we need to bring it in. I'm going to suggest doing it manually rather than using transporter. And let's get it into one of the larger shuttle bays, just in case there's some sort of self-destruct on it. I'd like it to be in a large open area.
Sure, I'm sure some of our cargo bays are built to be, Ford tough, as it were.
And I'd suggest bringing it in using a work bee on remote, just in case.
So we'll just get some it to be piloted in. We need to identify who made this.
Oh, once the doctor clears me, I'll get back into uniform and I'll go down to where this thing is, wherever we bring it, and I'll start taking a look at it.
And you're going to use some kind of remote probe, did you say?
I'll use one of the work bees that we have around the Starbase, and I'm going to run it on remote just in case this thing decides to do something once it moves. Anyway,
you can get it to if it interphases out. Anyway, you can get it to automatically send its new phase so that we can rescue it if that happens.
We might just have to go out there again and do the same thing all over again. But I'm hoping that for the moment we've managed to knock it back into phase permanently.
Yeah, you think that's the case.
Okay.
So I'll see if I can find a good work bee pilot and get them to bring the thing in under my supervision.
Yep, you are able to do so, and they use the worker bee to kind of detach the surveillance device from the hull and bring it into the designated cargo hold. And you were able to examine it. You're able to touch it. It's now permanently. You've dispelled the interphasic effects, and it is in phase with your reality right now.
Great. Well, I'm going to take a look. I want to find out primarily two things. What are its capabilities? So what can it monitor? And if there's any signs there of the type of technology, in other words, who does it belong to?
Yeah, the first thing you're looking for as far as its capabilities and how it works, that's going to be easier than who built it. So you can sort of narrate for me how you go about finding either of those pieces of information.
I'm going to try and do some detailed scans of it. I'm looking for, let me see. I'm going to be looking for various sensor devices on it. So I want to know, is it picking up radio, subspace? What kind of things is it listening for? I'll scan to see if there's any sort of data storage on board at all. And then I'll scan to see if there's any sort of transmission devices. As, unless somebody came in to actually pick up the data from it in person, it's got to be getting the data out somehow. And I'm interested primarily there. Are there any long-range transmission devices, or is it all short-range? In other words, did somebody have to get close to it to pick up the data?
Yep, that's all kind of basic engineering stuff. So if you want to give me a difficulty 1 task that involves engineering, go ahead.
Okay. So that's a 10 and a 2, so that's going to be 3 successes.
Cool. So you generate 2 points of momentum. You think that this device, hold on one second. This device did 2 things. It picked up on all of the ship traffic in and out of the space dock section of the Starbase. It was also monitoring any sort of uncoded communications being sent to or from the Starbase. It doesn't have, as far as logs, it seemed to purge itself regularly. So it also has a transmitter that sent out burst transmissions at regular intervals. The thing was, unless you knew exactly which frequency this thing was out of phase with, you wouldn't be able to pick up those transmissions. If you knew exactly how out of phase this thing was, anyone within range could pick up those transmissions.
Okay. But we're not going to be able to go back through the station sensors to try and figure out what data it sent.
No. I mean, you think that generally it was monitoring starship traffic and communications.
Okay. Can I get any sense from this as to how long it might have been there?
If you spend a point of momentum, you probably could to improve the quality of your last success.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
At least then we'll know roughly what it's been listening to.
Yeah, it's been there for a matter of several months. Not years, it certainly hasn't been there, since the completion of the station or anything like that, but probably a matter of several months.
Okay, but that means that we know that any incoming and outgoing traffic and any uncoded messages within that time period have likely been compromised.
Correct.
Okay. And okay, I'll continue working, see if I can figure out if there's any signs in there at all of who might have built this thing. Although I've got a fair suspicion.
Yeah, that's going to be a little more difficult. That's probably going to be because the components really could have been assembled from anywhere using pretty standard technologies and materials. It's going to be harder to trace it. That's probably going to require like a difficulty 4 task.
Okay, I'll spend some time on that then.
And
okay.
While we're treating the Tal Shiar, the former Tal Shiar lady, as though she's trustworthy, maybe we need to have her take a look too. I know this is much more next generation level of trusting people than it is Deep Space Nine level of trusting, but she's a character. I feel like we should use her abilities.
Yeah, you bet. She responds to your summons. Where would you like to talk with her?
Ops.
Okay. Yeah, she reports to Ops and she says, "What can I do for you, Commander Stiles?"
Well, we have some data we'd like you to take a look at. See if maybe you can shed some light on it. We're looking at all avenues, and we know that you have some knowledge in the fields that we're looking at.
Well, I was really more of a genetic researcher for the Tal Shiar, but I will certainly take a look at whatever you want me to do. I just hope that any help that I can offer will weigh in my favor when you make your report, when you make your recommendations about what should happen to the children.
Yeah, I thought you'd want to help us out.
Yeah, well, what can I do for you, Commander?
Well, let's see. Let's filter this this data that we're picking up into my ready room, and I'll have. Is it? I'm gonna get all these. I always get the names wrong of everybody. Is it Thalev who's doing all the
Thalev Chisert?
scans right now?
Yep.
I'll see if I can get him into. I'll get him on the line as well. The blue one, yes.
Sure. Yeah. If you want to pipe Lieutenant Chisert into the room, absolutely.
Yes. Well, I'm going to assist the church because this is an espionage focus. So, insight and science help, or insight and security to help identify and assistance.
Yeah, that might help you to identify where this thing came from. Absolutely, your espionage.
Okay, cool.
Expertise would absolutely apply. So as Cassia starts looking at the scans that you send up, she seems to think that obviously I know that we're on the neutral zone and everyone is worried about Romulan spies running amok. I don't think this device was made by Romulans. I don't know a ton about cloaking technology, but I know for a fact that Starfleet was far more interested in interphasic cloaks than the Romulans ever were. I'm sorry, but that's probably as much help as I'm going to be on this particular problem.
No, I appreciate your time on that.
Of course.
All right. Well, when she leaves, I'll say, well, it could definitely still be the Romulans. I know that sometimes their equipment looks like it's made by a different group, but has certain components that, on an intense scan, on a micro level, can be detected. So maybe we should detect for that, but maybe we should also be concerned that this could be Klingon. We haven't heard anything about what their engineers do with phasic cloaking, but obviously they've got a step up on us in cloaking technology, and some of these Klingons aren't trusting us very much right now, so it would make sense for them to try to listen in on what's going on.
Yep, it's certainly something to check for. Are we ready to do this analysis?
Yeah, I basically pipe in. I help let him know I got a success here, but it's going to need his help to really confirm this.
Okay.
Yep. So you've got Lieutenant Commander Holm assisting with 1 success. You need 3 more, and you've got 2 points of momentum to work with if you like. You can also pay into threat to get extra dice if you want. Right now I have 4 threat.
I'm going to do this cautiously again, so I'll buy an extra dice.
Okay.
And we'll see how we go with that. So, what are we talking? Reason engineering again?
That makes sense to me.
Okay. So that's 1 failure. Oh, 2 17s and a 1. So 2 successes. Now,
okay.
Because I was doing it cautiously, I can re-roll one of those.
Correct.
So, and that's a 3. So that's another 2 successes.
Oh,
so that's
awesome.
4 successes overall.
Now, just a question here. So when you're able to re-roll because of what ability?
I use the cautious talent. So when I buy an extra dice with momentum, I can re-roll one of those dice.
Oh, cool.
And because I have untapped potential, I will also generate another point of momentum.
An extra point of momentum on top of the one you already did?
Yep, I succeeded at a task after buying an additional die 20.
Okay, cool. So you now have 3 points of momentum in your pool. And as you guys work together, Lieutenant Commander Holm, your studied eye when it comes to espionage and intelligence gathering, you realize that Starfleet has done research on interphasic cloaking and interphasic technology. Specifically, there was a classified report on a starship called the Pegasus that was equipped with an interphasic cloak. You think that this is really similar? You think that this was probably certainly of Federation origin, maybe even Starfleet origin?
Damn peculiar. It seems to be that this was made by Starfleet.
And with that revelation, I'll let you guys chew on that for a minute. Let's take a 5-minute break. I'm going to go to the bathroom and grab me another beer.
Yeah,
Awesome.
same here.
All right. Okay, I'm back. Is everybody else back?
I'm back.
All wings report in.
Dr.
Red
Stanislov,
standing
present.
by.
And I think Ben said he'd returned, and it looks like Paul just sat back down. So I think everyone is accounted for.
We all got our beer.
Right on. It's actually
Glad to hear.
cold down in the basement. Okay, so just to reset the situation, you guys had experienced a malfunction on one of the big sets of space doors on the Starbase. And so you sent a couple of guys out there to investigate, and you discovered that there was some sort of interphasic device literally jamming the mechanism. You were able to bring it back into normal space-time and realized it was some sort of surveillance device, but in doing so, you unleashed a chronoton burst that sort of sent two of you outside of normal phasic space. Dr. Stanislov was able to work quickly with the transporter to bring you guys back into phase with the rest of reality, and you guys were basically able to successfully bring this monitoring device, the surveillance device, into a shuttle bay, and you now have reason to believe that it was constructed by Starfleet, that this is some sort of inside job. And that's where you guys have 3 points of momentum. I have 4 points of threat, and that's where we'll pick it up. What do you guys make of this turn of events?
Where is Dr. Stanislav while this is going on? Is he
You tell me,
present
man.
or?
If you want.
Well, he would like to be part of the action, so hopefully he's right next to the rest of the guys.
But the question is he holding a bottle of booze?
Could you repeat?
If you like, we could set the scene in like a conference room. You guys are having like a briefing and sort of mulling your options.
Well, obviously this has bigger implications than just this particular starbase. We'll have to bring it to the Admiral's attention. Does everybody agree?
Well, before we bring it up to the Admiral, we spoke to her last time, and she did keep some facts from us before. So I was wondering whether if we could discuss this amongst ourselves first.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got to say, the question in my head is, if this is somebody to do with Starfleet, then why are they not getting this kind of information through normal channels? Who in Starfleet would either not have access to the kind of information this device is gathering, or who would not want the rest of Starfleet to know that they have access to it? In other words, they're gathering it covertly. I mean,
And
it doesn't make sense to me.
And who would benefit from all this? Last time when the Klingons were here, if we were to cause some sort of conflict between the Klingons and restart the war with the Romulans or something like that, who will benefit from it all?
There have always been sorts of belligerent actions within Starfleet. We have been having, in these past few months, very interesting circumstances that happened, of course. The incidents with Mirren and Mirren, the Klingon diplomatic faux pas, and now this. I'm guessing this has all been related, especially with the faux pas. If that person who did do the transmission splicing was actually hired by Starfleet itself.
And it is. We have factions. It might be a really good idea not to well, to bring this up through the normal channels for a little while, just until we know who we can trust.
Well, at some point, I'm going to have to pass a report on to the Admiral, but
The report is going to have to happen, but
I could delay it.
Yes, you could.
Probably by no more than 12 hours.
Good. What needs to happen is we need to actually check out, see about the crew. See if there has been any sorts of personal changes within the last few months, and see who authorized that. I'll be getting on to that right away.
Who authorized
The
device being placed?
Yes, the crew replacements. Those who transferred over here recently.
Commander, maybe we could go over the recent events one more time. The first event that we experienced, could you refresh our memories about what exactly went down?
I believe you were mentioning the alien spacecraft Stanislov.
Yes.
Yes, let's
well,
review
I mean,
the logs of that.
Right, because I was a big part of the virus removal and the events associated with Marin and Marin and the recent Klingon incident. But each one of these events sows conflict. And when there's conflict, there's money to be made. And I just want to see whether if there's a link. And for some reason, my gut feeling says that we may want to look into the Ferengi presence here. I just want to go out on a limb here and take a guess, but that's what my gut feeling says. So maybe we should start from the beginning and try and see whether if there's a link.
That's a very interesting theory.
Yeah.
I do think we need to go down that route. There is money to be made. I wonder if and my voice will get, like low, like somebody's probably listening. I'll say it, and we might care if the Orion Syndicate is involved. Another interested party.
We just got to watch now. We don't start blaming everybody for it. So that's just going to make things a lot harder.
We just go with what we have as facts. We need to take necessary precautions. And also, whenever Groka gets information, they seem to always come up first to get confirmed. And Groka has yet to confirm anything about that incident with the door.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to head back to that cargo bay and look busy if I'm going to be delaying this report for at least another 12 hours or so. But what I will try and do, because I know roughly how long that device has been there, I'll see if I can figure out how it might have been planted, because that might give us information that we can follow up on, or I can follow up on, to figure out who might have planted it. Was it dropped off by a ship? Was it installed by one of the engineering crew? I don't know. But if I can figure out the how and the when, then maybe I can get some clues as to the who.
Good. Excuse me, I need to go and check out crew transfers.
Yeah, that's interesting that you guys would say that. As you, Lieutenant Chsearch and Lieutenant Commander Holm, as you guys start to look through some of the first of all, the maintenance logs of the space door, and it looks like Paul might have dropped out for a second, but okay, he's back. Yep. So as Lieutenant Chsearch looks through the maintenance logs for the doors, it does look like an engineering crew conducted a routine maintenance effort several months ago that might roughly correspond to when the surveillance device was implanted. And Lieutenant Commander Holm, you're able to cross-reference that easily with any new arrivals on the crew. if you like.
Okay, let's go and see who these new arrivals were transferred by.
Yeah, so it looks like one of the engineering crew that conducted that maintenance was indeed a fairly new arrival to the Starbase. His name is Lieutenant Matthew DeLeo. He appears to have been stationed. This is his first deep space assignment.
Do I know him at all?
Yeah, you probably do. You would know him to be focused and not particularly remarkably talented, but competent junior engineer.
Okay. While I'm examining this device, I'm going to see if I can surreptitiously get him onto the engineering team. I'll see if I can come up with some excuse. You know, is there a particular expertise that he's got, or particular experience that I could potentially draw on? But
Yeah.
I want him to take a look at this device along with me, so that I can see what he makes of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So yeah, you summon this junior lieutenant, Lieutenant JG Matthew DeLeo, into the cargo bay, and he looks at it, looks it up and down, scans it with a tricorder, and says, well, it looks like its components are fairly routine. It looks like some kind of monitoring device, but I couldn't begin to guess. I mean, obviously there's some sort of interphasic cloak going on here. My guess is it's Romulans. It just makes sense since we're this close to the neutral zone. There's cloaking technology at work. Seems pretty logical to me who the culprit is.
Well, somebody had mentioned to me that you had a particular interest in the interphasic technology. I was wondering if you could give me a little bit more advice on it.
Well, I'm afraid my expertise might have been exaggerated a little bit, Lieutenant. Now, obviously, there's interphasic technology here, but your direct experience with it makes you the expert.
Do I get any sort of sense that he might be covering things up, holding back?
Why don't you give me a presence plus command task? This will be, we'll say, difficulty 3. You have 3 points of momentum at your disposal if you like. Is there anyone else present in this scene, by the way?
Yes.
So,
Lieutenant Commander Holm, you can definitely assist. You can size up this guy too. You have, I think, some kind of interrogation expertise.
Yep, I have interrogation as a focus. I think it would be insight and security, as I'm just reading his body language and all that.
You say this is difficulty 3, so...
Do you want to do the assist and I roll?
Yeah. Yeah, you go for it.
Okay.
I mean, I'll sort of kick the questioning off.
Yeah.
And I'll be talking to him about the technology and the device and all this kind of thing. And you just sort of throw in whatever questions you feel.
Obviously, it's going to be everything with his associations in Starfleet, student groups, all of that.
So I'll do my, what do you say, presence plus command?
Yes, sir.
That's just momentum. 1 success.
Okay.
5. Two criticals.
Okay. So you used your 3 points of momentum, correct?
Yep. To get 2 extra dice.
Okay. So so you got a total of 5 successes. You needed 3, so you get 2 points of momentum back. And it is clear to you as Lieutenant Commander Chsearch starts kicking around these questions that he is being evasive and hiding something. And he actually he definitely knows that you're watching him, Lieutenant Commander Holm, and you get the sense that he's got some sort of intelligence training, just in the way he's sort of guardedly answering these questions. He's being evasive without looking like he's being evasive, and he definitely notices you paying close attention to this conversation. I'm going to spend 2 points of threat, as there is another sort of blinding flash of light, and suddenly this young Lieutenant DeLeo has vanished from the cargo bay.
Okay, that's not normal.
Yes, Lieutenant, I need a subspace scanning right now.
Did that look to me like a transporter, or was that more some sort of interphasic device?
It looked a lot like what happened to you before, both of you, before you suffered that sort of interphasic problem outside the Starbase.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can grab an engineering tricorder and quickly configure it for another anion pulse.
Yeah, absolutely. Difficulty 2, reason plus engineering.
I'm going to make sure that the doors are sealed.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to call for like a red alert, or would that be okay?
I would say is well, technically it depends. He can't make a transmission out right now. That was basically a very difficult task on our end. So a red alert would tip our hands. I would have the security on board ready because we need to make an arrest, though.
Okay.
Well, chances are pretty good he's still here, and he may even be able to hear and see everything we're doing. So let's see if we can.
The question is if we're able to respond quickly before he gets out.
Yeah, I'll see if I can bring him back to reality. So that's 16 and a 1. So that's still 2 successes.
Okay.
I'm going to roll and see if I can assist. Bearing in security just to make sure I can head him off. 12. Success.
Okay, cool. So you, Lieutenant Research, you're able to kind of flood the compartment with anions to cancel out the effects of the interphasic effects. And he reappears, but suddenly sprawls out on the deck, and he looks like he's not doing so good.
Okay.
Doesn't look like he's making any sort of attempt at escape. It looks like he reappeared for a moment and then collapsed on the deck. And it looks like his skin is sort of mottled and kind of damp. He looks like he's under some stress.
Okay. I'll get the doctor on the line.
Get down here right now. Meanwhile, I think we are going to have to do some emergency first aid here until our doctor gets in.
Yep. To stabilize him, it is going to be a daring plus medicine task, difficulty 1.
Okay, I actually can roll that at a 12. How about you? 11?
I can do an assist.
Okay, then. I'm going to roll it. I'm buying it to get 3 dice.
Okay.
Yep, I more kind of fumble it. 19. Sorry, no help.
It's fine. 2 successes.
Okay. So you get your point of momentum back, and you've stabilized him, but it looks like he is still unconscious. So he's not dying. He's not slipping towards death, but he's not going to be able to tell you much. Dr. Stanislov, are you arriving on the scene?
He's basically boozing up.
I think you're muted, Yong, if you're there.
Sorry, there was a call and I had to answer it.
Oh, nope, no problem. Are you okay now? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Did you miss any of the story, or are you up to speed?
Actually, I missed the past 2 minutes worth of it. I heard there was a bright, blinding flash, and I assumed that he was teleported out.
No, he was not teleported out. He tried the same interphasic trick as what happened outside on the hull of the Starbase. He tried to disappear and slip away that way. But Thelev was thinking quickly and flooded the compartment with anions, which canceled out the interphasic properties. But so he's reappeared, but it looks like he is not in good shape physically. Looks like he is sick, and you were called to the scene.
The doctor appears and says, let's take him. Let's head over to the quarantine sick bay. I'm going to run some tests on this guy.
Cool, yeah. You, from looking at him, you think he has... he's probably been going through this interphase multiple times, and it's starting to have some serious physical ramifications for him.
Okay, well then, it seems like we need to get a real story about our lieutenant here. I'm going to have to actually get some of my men, and we're going to go check out his quarters. I'll have a guard posted over where you are at in Medbay. Stanislov?
Oh, yes, sir. In the meanwhile, I'll just make sure that he's stabilized and his body parts won't phase out.
Make sure that doesn't happen.
If it does happen...
People used to have sort of false teeth with cyanide capsules. We need to check out his dental records and make sure there's nothing of a fail-safe on him.
I'm on it already. So
Good.
He continues on and scans the guy to make sure that his body is stabilized and he wouldn't all of a sudden start deteriorating.
Yep. Yong, you, without making any sort of task, you think that he's received first aid, so he's stabilized. He's not going to die, at least in the immediate future. But you think that his DNA, kind of at a subcellular level, has started to decay a little bit because of all of the interface that he's been going through. You think that it's going to require probably some long-term treatment to get him back to being fully healthy. And you think that currently he's suffering from an injury, which means he can't really talk, he can't really attempt tasks. If you were to revive him, you'd have to be really careful. You would run the risk of doing more damage, doing more harm than good if you tried to revive him right now.
He turns over to the others. It seems like if I try to revive him, it may cause him to have further injury. What do you think, Commander? Should I go ahead and try to revive him so that you can interrogate him more, or should I leave him be and allow him to recover?
Well, if he recovers, he's just going to end up hurting himself, depending on what organization he's with. You say to revive him now would possibly cause him more damage?
Well, the best thing to do would be to leave him and have him treat naturally and with a long-term assistance. But if we try to revive him and bring him back to consciousness, it may shock him. And I'm not so sure whether if he's in a condition to handle this process.
Well, I think what I'd like to do then is put him in stasis. If you could do that, that would be excellent. And so while I'm saying that, I am tapping into the computer to bring up some sort of text message to him to hopefully produce the wrong number of stasis field in the hopes of capturing somebody who might try to, eradicate him.
Exactly. We need a plan for a failsafe. Let's not assume he was acting alone, especially since he has intelligence training, meaning that this is something that was authorized high up by Starfleet.
Well, although he's in Starfleet, are we sure that this was authorized by Starfleet? It could still be somebody outside of Starfleet.
He's definitely acting under someone's order, so we could interrogate him when he comes around.
But we have to wait for him to come around first.
I wonder whether if there is an urgency for us to continue our interrogation.
More importantly, we need to go check out his quarters. I need your eyes, the love, to help with sensor sweeps. Make sure if there is any sort of hidden compartments there.
I'll be sure to make sure that he's stabilized in cellular level.
Okay.
And I'll stand by just in case you need to revive him right away for further interrogation.
I'm going to make sure the security personnel I assign here will be vetted and ensure that no one else comes in except those that are authorized by me, the commander, and you, Doctor.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander. Yep. So he stands by.
So Lieutenant Chisearch and Lieutenant Commander Holm, you go to Lieutenant DeLeo's quarters, and you're able to use your security override to get inside, and it looks like well organized, well kept, nothing immediately suspicious as you take a cursory look inside.
I'll do some tricorder scans. Not necessarily looking for something out of the ordinary, but hard to describe. The chances are, if he is a security operative, that he's tried to conceal something, which means it will look extraordinarily ordinary.
It will be in plain sight.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. So I'll run a few scans and just see if there's anything obvious shows up. But I'm looking for something that just looks out of place, that looks too ordinary.
Yeah. As you scan with your tricorder, the first thing you notice is that it appears that anions have been dispersed throughout the room fairly recently. You would probably conclude that that was something that DeLeo did to, get rid of any evidence that would have destroyed any sort of interphasic artifacts that might remain in his quarters.
Okay. I guess it's worth checking for any sort of hidden compartments, or if there's any personal items that might have some sort of hidden compartments. I'm pretty sure we're not going to find anything, but might as well be thorough.
Yep. Either of you can give me, I don't know, probably insight plus security.
Okay, I'll do that. This is espionage, so...
Be difficulty 3.
Okay, I am spending that to get 3 dice. And if the search wants to help, he can.
I will join in. I'll try for the insight plus security, but I'm not that good at it. Nope. Clearly not that good.
3 successes.
3 successes. Okay, which is what you needed, and you are able to turn up. As an engineer, he would have various pieces of equipment in his quarters, and that wouldn't necessarily raise any red flags. But you think, as you sort of put them together, the components are here to perhaps craft another one of those surveillance devices.
Any sort of books here where it's actually like a fake book and then it's like cryptic messages where we need cryptology to understand it?
No, nothing so dramatic.
Like, oh, wow, Vulcan love slave, and then you open it up and it's all coded messages.
As much as I love Vulcan Love Slave, no, there's no copies of it here in his quarters. It looks like he might have been able, had he wanted to, he could have assembled more of those devices.
Well then, let me go get the security override. We're going to go and see all the transmissions he has done, public and private, and try to correspond which ones would have been to who.
Can I tell from the components that are here whether he might have already made some of those devices. In other words, there might be more than one somewhere on the station.
I mean, that's a possibility. It's impossible to tell from what he's got in his quarters right now. And Miguel, as you look through his personal transmissions, you find nothing out of the ordinary. Everything's been logged. Everything is according to Starfleet regulations. You don't see anything suspicious in his communications off Starbase.
And it's time to start searching the rest of the room. Anything else? Looks like we're going to have to start looking into associates. Since he is an engineering fellow, did he happen to always hang out with certain groups?
Lieutenant Chassert, you know that he kind of kept to himself. He was friendly and competent, but didn't really make a lot of lasting friendships.
In the meanwhile, could the doctor try something?
You bet. What do you want to do?
Okay. While he's in the med bay, in the sick bay, he examines the what's his name again?
Matthew DeLeo.
Yeah, Officer DeLeo, and
I don't know. Did we lose him?
Man, we need more of those anti-ion particles.
Well, do we want to? I mean, I don't know if you're keeping up communications with me on this, but do we? I guess out of character, do we want to actually, even before we add the amnion particles or whatever, try to use sensors to see if there's any trails that we can follow of where this guy's been when he's been cloaked or whatever?
It's actually a smart move, so we can start looking for breadcrumbs.
I can try using the station sensors to check for more anions.
Yeah,
Might take
absolutely.
a while.
Yep. You can get to work on that. Yong, what was it you had in mind before we lost you there for a moment?
he was going to try and see if he would be able to bring him back to consciousness, because he's the Dr. Stanislov is pretty curious about what he has to say also.
Yeah, so this is going to be a difficulty 3 reason plus medicine task.
Okay.
Or you could use control plus medicine if you like. It's up to you. If you fail, there's a chance that something bad might happen to DeLeo as you sort of do more harm to him than good.
Okay, I'm going to take momentum.
You guys have spent all your momentum.
Okay.
You can pay me if you like.
He's gonna actually use determination. He says, "Well, this is my the medical lab is my second home, and there's no way in hell that I'm gonna let this man die in my med bay."
Yep.
So
you can use your point of determination to give you that's an automatic crit success. So you've got 2 successes. You need to roll an additional 1 with your 2d20s.
I'll mess up.
18, so he fails.
You roll 2 dice.
Oh, okay. Okay, 13.
Okay, cool.
He's alive?
Yeah, he's alive.
Good.
And he starts to come to as you administer to him, and you are able to fend off any sort of deleterious effects from the interphase that he's been going through. And so his eyes flutter open, and he looks unfocused for a moment. Then he sees you, and a look of suspicion crosses his face.
What was it?
He looks at you and with a look of suspicion, but he doesn't say anything immediately.
Well, how do you feel?
I feel like hell.
Yeah, I'll bet. If you start using those interface, what's the device called again?
Doctor, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, like I say, if you do something that's out of ordinary way too much, then you may do harm to yourself. Who knows? You know, I'm an expert in artificial prosthetics. Maybe one day you'll come to me for that particular procedure. You know, you understand what I'm saying?
You're clearly a talented doctor. If I've got a clean bill of health, then I will return to my quarters.
Not at all. I'm not going to clear you just yet. Well, just stay here and relax a little while, and I'll be right back. And he pages the commander and Lieutenant Search and the rest of his gang. And he says, Commander, this is Dr. Stanislov.
What's your status?
My patient is awake, and he would be able to answer some of your questions.
Well, I guess I better come down there. I thought we were going to try to put him in stasis. Did he get up on his own?
Well, I felt that since he's in my med lab, and so far I haven't let anybody pass away while I have full disposal of the lab, I thought I'd give it a try. And hopefully, and thankfully, it was successful.
Well, excellent.
And I assure you, he's not missing any limbs.
Oh, that is good to know. All right, that works. I guess meet me in the sick bay.
Yes, sir. And perhaps Lieutenant Commander might join us as well, because I heard that he's great at finding information out of folks.
Commander Holm?
Yes, sir.
I need you to come with me to sick bay. There's something I would like you to administrate.
Understood. Be there right away.
And I'm going to try to do the undiscovered country thing where I want security to report to, stasis chamber 3 or something like that, over the intercom or whatever. So
Right.
You might think they're going that way. Cool.
Yeah, so you guys all arrive in sick bay, and Lieutenant DeLeo is on a bio bed, looking kind of pale, but conscious. And kind of a look of sort of annoyance on his face, maybe a little arrogance too.
Yeah. So, what is the difficulty of this interrogation?
So these, you'll be using the social conflict rules. It'll start out with a difficulty 5. This guy is a well-trained operative. Well, he's received some training. But you can lower that difficulty with some good role-playing.
Interesting. Yes. Well, then again, you're also talking to a person who has the value of holding Starfleet as the ideal and holds everyone to the highest standards. So, Leo, is that your name? Says
Yes,
here
sir.
in the academy, you basically were placed in the middle in terms of engineering in your class.
Yes, sir.
Do not see any sort of aptitudes for counter-espionage that I have seen in the field here with you. Extracurricular?
Just a simple engineer, sir.
I believe there is a lot more to you, DeLeo, than you give.
Sir, there was some unfortunate breakdowns of technology. I'm certain if you contact Admiral Talara at Starfleet Command, she'll get this all straightened out.
As the church is whispering this, you do realize what happens with constant interfacing, correct?
Well, I think I remember something about it in my quantum mechanics course at the academy. It's probably not good for biomatter over and over.
Yes. Along the lines, it's actually killing you. It takes a lot of dedication from even a lieutenant to do.
Well, I don't know about that, sir, but maybe you're right. Maybe I just need to relax and get off my feet for a while. In fact, you guys are all kind of stressing me out. Doctor, can I maybe get a little time here?
Well, I might be able
Feeling
to.
a little woozy.
Oh, do you? It may be the deterioration of your brain cells. You know, that's usually what happens if you constantly use interface cloaking device. But by the way, who was that admiral that you wanted to clear with?
Admiral Talara.
Oh well, I understand. Well, it seems like you're looking a little better. What do you say, Lieutenant Commander? Should we leave him alone for a bit, or?
Not yet. Who is this Admiral Talara?
You know her to be a highly
the Chev.
Yeah, you know her to be a Vulcan, highly placed, well-respected admiral at Starfleet Command.
Interesting.
Well, as for you, Lieutenant Playo, it seems like bed rest for next day or so would do you a lot of good.
I agree, Doctor.
Hopefully your cells won't start to deteriorate, and then we don't want to see you lose a limb or two, right? Like I was saying, if you ever need it.
Oh, hang on.
Well, the thing is, though, I think I'm going to have to continue on here. What does my character know about that admiral?
Just that. She's a well-respected, long-time admiral, Vulcan, stationed at Starfleet Command, San Francisco.
Okay.
Yong, are you back on the line?
Yep, I'm back on the line.
Yeah, when you mentioned losing a limb, for the first time, you see kind of a look of maybe a little bit of fear play across DeLeo's features. What do you mean? I'm not going to lose a limb. Yeah, I'm feeling a little woozy, but I can move everything.
Yeah, I'm sure you feel fine, but you understand these things are rarely related to how you feel. You know, let's just reason with me for a while. You're using a device that make you completely vanish from this particular reality. You can see us. Yeah, you can see us. You can interact with us to a certain degree, but we can't see you. And you're at a completely different phase of existence. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Well, yeah, in theory.
Well, a couple times maybe it's good. And if you're using a tried and true technology like a transporter, that's one thing. But interface cloaking device, it has certain side effects. And if you continue to use it more than a certain amount of time, for some people or some instances, it may be 50 times, 10 times for somebody. You never know. Maybe you're going to start to see cell deterioration in one of your limbs. You may lose an eye. So I'm just concerned that we don't want to see that sort of situation here. I mean, it'll be a shame that someone would pass from such a condition in my medical lab.
But you
said earlier that you've never used it before and you don't know what this is all about. So, it's a moot point, right?
Well, there was a malfunction, is what it was, Doctor. But you can reverse all that cellular damage, right?
Well, I'm a good doctor, but as far as reversing a damage that's related to interface cloaking device abuse, that's something that's quite beyond me.
It's going to require a certain amount of clearance.
Right, and I need to know, at least in the ballpark figure, whether if we're talking about using the device once or twice or, 15 times, 20 times. Maybe you've used it 100 times or so, and my hope is actually starting to vanish. If you used it so many times, then I would frankly say you're beyond my help. So if you have something that you could tell us, then maybe that'll be a starting point for me to begin the proper treatment.
Yeah, I might be able to tell you a little more. So you guys have kind of whittled it down from 5 to 4. It's now difficulty 4 persuasion task to get him to open up. Who will be making the task, and someone can assist? And how's that going to go down?
Spin a determination, so I got, because it hits 2 of my values.
And well done on your role playing, Yong. That was fun.
Yes. Especially Young going with the side effects there. You might be a eunuch.
Yeah. A quick aside, guys. I think we need to kind of lay it on thick here. So if the doc starts looking at him from a medical point of view, I can hover over him with a tricorder and start talking about how he's phasing out again and it's uncontrollable and this kind of. The doc can give him something to make him sweat a little bit, and then you can ask him the question. So let's see if we can see if we can bring that difficulty down a bit more.
Yes.
Put a bit of pressure on him.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. How do you make him feel like he's phasing again?
Well, if the doc can give him a shot, just to, I don't know, to make him feel queasy, make him sweat a lot, this kind of thing. The doc can tell him that his genetic structure is breaking down. I can do some tricorder scans and kind of fake those to make him feel as though he's definitely sort of fading, as it were, and he's going to die.
Well,
and then we can ask the
Lieutenant,
questions.
Well, Lieutenant Research, I'm not so sure whether if that's within my medical code. But yeah, let's see what we can do. I got some saline here that I may use for that. So he walks over and grabs an old school saline syringe and plunges it into his leg and uses his tricorder to say, it seems like he's starting to phase out again. And then he turns over to Lieutenant Research with a serious expression on his face.
Yeah, I'll pull out my tricorder and start making a few scans and start to look concerned. I'll be looking at the commander in particular and say, we may need to evacuate the sick bay, so we may need to put up a force field. I'm really not sure what effect this is going to have on the immediate area.
Very well. I think I'm going to take... Does anybody want to come with me? Make sure that we're all, out of range if this causes some kind of catastrophic, explosion from his insides out.
Explosion? Who said anything about an explosion?
Suddenly, Dr. Melvin Stanislov runs over to his med cabinet and says, I just can't handle this, and pours a little shot of Chivas Regal and takes a sip and returns. You might want to take this as well. It may be your last moment, and then hands it over to the fella.
We're evil.
Okay, yeah, it's a difficulty 3 task. Difficulty 3 persuasion task is now DeLeo is starting to really sweat. It's clear that he's starting to feel maybe a little ill. He's scared.
Yeah, we may only have a few minutes left, sir.
Yes. Well then, let's get to the basics, DeLeo, so we can try to help. Yeah, I gotta spend a determination, so I just need 1 success on this.
Yep.
Let's see.
Here, I'm gonna go get him a glass of water. I'll say, and then leave the room.
The doctor lingers, pressing that we need to know the context behind the usage of these interface cloaking device. Tell us how many times, where and how, and we may be able to stabilize you.
The whole story, friend.
Yeah, so what did you get on that persuasion task, Lieutenant Commander Holm?
2 successes, 14 and a 15.
Okay, cool. All right. So
spending that momentum to really make this a success. So he just starts blabbing away about how he doesn't want to lose a leg.
Yeah, totally. He is. You guys have broken him, and he's in a panic. And he says, "All right, I'll tell you everything that I know." So I'm not really. I've been using this interphasic technology since I was stationed here. I'm under orders. I received a little bit of intelligence field training, but I really am an engineering officer. I'm under orders from the Admiralty. They're stepping up surveillance along the neutral zone because of events that have been going on out here. I'm the one who made the report. I'm the one who leaked the information that Lieutenant or Admiral Chithanis was considering that misinformation plan with the Klingons with Admiral Nechayev, specifically to discredit it because some others in the Admiralty thought it was a bad plan and they didn't want Starfleet to proceed with it. And they thought the best way would be to just leak it. You guys got to save me. That's all I know. I swear. I'm really just an engineering lieutenant who's acting under orders.
Well done, Commander. If there's anything else, I would like to be dismissed.
Yeah, I'd like to know if there's anybody else on the station that he's been working with, somebody that might have more information that we can use to help him.
No, it's just me.
So tell us how many times you use that interfacing cloaking device.
Oh, I mean, I kept a pretty. I used it probably on a weekly basis over the course of 5 months. Went most of the areas on the station, made regular reports and logs. They were all sent in burst transmissions that were slightly out of phase to keep them secret.
My God, man. I'm surprised that you didn't go blind.
I'm not gonna, right, Doc? Like you can fix this. You can fix this.
Well, we'll see. Well, I'm gonna give you this injection here, and this is gonna make you feel a little better, calmer. As a matter of fact, when you awake, we'll find out whether if we made any headways in stabilizing your condition. And then he gives him a little, knockout anesthetics, and turns over to the other guys and says, "Well, it seems like he spilled a bean. What do you think?"
I think so. I am going to try and see if there's someone in the Admiralty board that can confirm this. So I'm going to try and get in contact with someone.
And I'm still not sure why the Admiralty would be doing this. I mean, it seems like the kind of information that this device and that whoever is on the station would provide, they could get through normal channels. So even if this is somebody within the Admiralty, is it somebody who's operating outside normal channels? Somebody who needs that information but wouldn't otherwise have access to it? Or at least it would expose them if they did have access to it. It just seems
the Medilab
strange.
Well, the Medilab has a verbal recording device, so whatever he said, it should have been recorded.
Yes.
So we would be able to use that information and pass it over to who we trust within our ranks.
But who do we trust?
Well, that's in the realm of your territory, Commander.
I mean, I think we have to trust our admiral here.
Do we?
Well, she'd have access to this stuff without giving away anything. She can look at anything she wants from this.
True, but there are certain things we can omit in the report, Commander. There is certain things within the Admiralty we need to investigate.
Well, go ahead, sir.
I was about to suggest, as the sort of thing is, would it be possible for me to contact my mentor in Starfleet?
Jellicoe?
Yeah. He's got an admiral by now, so
Yep.
I'd have an idea of what's happening.
I trust him.
You got Troy into a uniform.
Amen.
Sure. I would suggest that, but it's going to take some time, especially because this is going to be more along the lines of me going behind special channels. So for the immediate thing, we do need to submit a report. We need to do this right now, but we are in the middle of certain power plays within Starfleet High Command, and we need to be careful about this. Because
I think we need to submit the report, and we need to include this guy in the report.
yes.
What I think we need to leave out of the report for the moment is that he's potentially implicated senior officers in Starfleet, simply because we don't know who to trust.
Yes.
Well, considering that we don't know who to trust, how about we expose this wide? So make the report available for the entire commanding structure, and they may do their own investigation that way.
Something that would get all the admirals involved.
Yes, sir.
How would we drop that kind of information? We don't really have a Garrick person to spread spread information for us. Do we have anything else?
Well, the thing is, though, is that these admirals were responsible for leaking vital Federation intelligence through hiring a sort of holographic splicer or hacker.
Mm-hmm.
So they have basically compromised Starfleet, and this needs to be put out. As I was familiar with the incident of the Pegasus, they did release that information, if I recall how that episode ended, about what happened, and basically it led to several court-martials. So yeah, we need to be very, very careful, but we also need to follow proper protocols and bring this up with our admiral.
Yeah, but I think I agree with you guys about whether or not we can trust our admiral. If we want to be paranoid about it, if Starfleet was worried about her, I suppose this might be a way
they would have gone through proper channels and not tried to break the Kittimer Accords.
That's a good point. Although, I'm not sure if personal cloaking devices are covered in the Algernon Treaty.
Treaty of Algernon.
That's
I believe it would probably cover any cloaking technology. But.
Interesting. Well, I don't think there's a... I think we do need to bring it to her attention, and if there are other people who we can make sure would have this information, if any of us were to disappear, we probably want to make that happen. I'll leave that up to you guys, though.
Okay, more importantly, Doctor, I want to actually have security on him so that even though he gave us everything, I want to ensure he survives. Now that he is now under our custody, he is going to be a liability to whoever is the Admiralty wants. So
You don't have to worry about that, Commander. I'll make sure that he's as healthy as a horse.
okay, I'll have security vetted to make sure that whoever is stationed here is to ensure he is safe, and you too.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander.
Oh.
So it sort of sounds to me like you guys are going to report what happened to Admiral Chathanis?
Is that our admiral?
She's the fleet admiral in charge of the Starbase. Yes, she's your direct superior.
I think we have to.
Yeah, I think I have to, and like I said, I I think if the others have contacts and so forth that they want to make sure are aware of this, I've kind of given them the okay to do so, but without knowing specifics.
Yeah, so I'll be going through back doors trying to get in contact with Jellicoe.
Okay.
The doctor makes a private copy of the recorded conversation that took place in the med bay, just in case someone tries to tamper with it in the future.
Cool. Yep. Probably a wise thing to do.
Put it right by your whiskey.
Yep, right there, on top of the bottle cap.
So we're going to report everything, including the fact that other admirals may be implicated. Because that's the part I think we should leave out for the moment.
I think we have to.
Honestly, if they are starting to do this, there's no telling what those admirals are about to do too. We do not have names for those admirals, so we need to let our admiral know that we only have Talarev, who could have vouched for our lieutenant. And we do not know much about them.
That's partly why I think we need to leave that information out until we know at least a little bit more about who specifically is involved. If we say too much at this stage, we could be putting ourselves in danger.
So you can then tell the admiral off the record certain things that will not be part of the official reports.
I have a relatively close relationship with the admiral, so I can certainly sound her out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would we? I'm fairly not knowledgeable about this, but isn't there some sort of a body that does internal investigation of the Starfleet's
Yeah, isn't there an internal security
operation?
Yeah, in like the first season of The Next Generation, Picard was under investigation.
That's right. Remick.
Yeah, exactly what the body was. Yeah, Remick, exactly.
So, Commander and Lieutenant Commander, I was wondering whether if we could forward this findings to the internal investigation and have them begin to look into it. We could, at the same time, report to our own admiral because it is our duty to do so. But in case she tries to cover it up, I truly do not believe that she would do so. But if she does, then the internal investigation will be able to find out about it.
Well, we need to follow proper protocols, so that does need to be done.
So here's a thought. I still say leave out the fact that other admirals have been implicated. Yeah, make the report everything except that. We have to because that's what we've been working on so far. I can take the information on the potential implications for the other admirals directly to our admiral. Yeah, and only to her. At least then, if that information leaks out, if there are any repercussions from it, we know that only she had that information and therefore she's not to be trusted. And in the meantime, because we don't know which other admirals are potentially part of this, at least we're not playing our hand too early to them.
Good. Well, Commander, we have a plan. Shall we execute it?
I think I am behind everything that was said, except I wasn't sure if we were... So we're going to exclude that information, that garbled part of our audio there, to whatever other alternative back channels people may be nudging as well.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the first step is let's get the report back to the Admiral. And the one thing that we leave out is the fact that other high-ranking officers in Starfleet have potentially been implicated.
Okay.
So everything else, absolutely straight up and above board, true. so it can't be disputed. But we leave that one fact out. That's something that I will broach personally with the Admiral, and only to the Admiral. And then we know that if that information leaks out, or if there are any repercussions against us based on that information, that she can't be trusted.
All right, let's make it so.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys meet with Admiral Chithanis, an Andorian woman, in her office at the very kind of top level of the Starbase, and she she speaks very little as you guys relate whatever information you wish to relate to her. After you are done speaking, she kind of pushes a pad toward Commander Stiles and seems to gesture toward it like you need to read its contents.
Okay. I will do so very casually.
Yeah, you pick it up and look at it, and you immediately recognize it as a personnel transfer order, and it is for Lieutenant Matthew DeLeo. He is to be transferred to the medical cruiser, the USS James Lister.
All right. What do I make of that information?
I don't know. But as you scan through it, you also see that it was signed by Admiral Talara.
Well, that's interesting. So we haven't yet brought up that name in the conversation, and she hands that to us?
Correct. The name Talara, correct. And she kind of looks at you one by one and says, these are dark times for Starfleet. I worry that we are perhaps betraying some of our core principles. We have to tread carefully. And that is where we will end tonight's session.
Sweet. That was a very cool, intriguing game.
Thank you.
Not every game will...
Not every game will be all about politics and intrigue and spies, but I did want to kind of introduce that thread because it's interesting to me.
Very paranoia-inducing. Very good.
Yeah, that was the plan.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing Stiles has some PTSD flashbacks to when with the whole conspiracy thing. Like, oh great, more admirals doing weird things, huh? Oh great.
Absolutely.
Nothing is good when a chav is involved.
Good point. Cool.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Thank you. And I think the highlight for me was definitely the interrogation where you had poor Lieutenant DeLeo thinking that he was going to phase out of existence at any moment.
That was great.
That was clever.
Yeah, we just needed to turn up the heat on him a little bit. Well, a lot, actually.
Cool, guys. Well, thanks as always for playing. I will put up some notes soon in the Facebook group about scheduling the next session, and we'll just kind of go from there. But please, if you've got ideas or goals for your characters, things that we could do to make this like the best Star Trek campaign you've ever played in, feel free to shoot me a note or mention it in the group as well. I love it when you guys, invest your own creativity in the game as well. So please feel welcome to do that.
I guess we can start ginning up some backup characters, as in supporting characters, to really flesh things out.
Yep, absolutely. Put some stats together for them, send them my way, and I'll keep them in the binder, and we can pull them out as necessary. But yeah, that's a great idea.
Cool. Sweet.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Cool. Have a good night, guys.
Good night,
All right,
everybody.
take care.
Bye,
Thanks
guys.
a lot for running the game.